Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Let's Talk Thursdays podcast. My name is Brendan Plays, and on today's show, we will be previewing the upcoming Fast Lane pay-per-view, the Smackdown exclusive pay-per-view that's coming up, I believe, this weekend. So that's going to be the centerpiece of this week's show. We're going to talk a little bit about WrestleMania, some of the new matches announced for it as well. And yeah, so plenty of wrestling chat. There's a lot of news, actually, a little rumors going around this week, and I'm not 100% sure about them all, but we're going to get into them anyways. We're going to chat about them. But before we get into this week's show, we're going to talk a little bit about my channel and what's been going on for me. We had the Royal Rumble pay-per-view recently on Twitch. Thank you to everyone who came along to the stream. We had a really solid stream. At one point, I think we peaked at 500 viewers, and that's on Twitch. So normally on YouTube, we would probably hit 1,000 viewers for the Rumble, but we've got a lot of people still trying to accustom themselves over to Twitch and may have missed out or may have forgotten. So if you came to the Rumble and you watched on Twitch and you subscribed or you followed the stream, I really appreciate it because it was a fantastic turnout, better than I expected. I was thinking maybe 300. So to get 400 for the majority of the show, 450 for a lot of it as well, I really appreciate everyone who came along and watched. Lots of new followers, as I said, and it's really helped potentially get my Twitch channel partnered. We have another couple of big streams over the next few weeks. I think there's a good chance I might be able to get my channel partnered, so we're very close. So just got to keep on going, and we plan on doing more streams this weekend as always. We're going to do some more Total Extreme Wrestling this weekend. I've got a new universe mode I'm working on to come out. It was going to come out today, but I'm a little bit behind, so probably Friday I'll put that out, and probably try and get another Smackdown out over the weekend as well. So that should be fun, and I'll try and stream both of them. I probably should be able to stream both of them, so that will give me a chance to get some more, some more stream time in under the belt. Other good piece of news as well is that I've resolved some of my issues with streaming on the PS3. So I could start my new series I'm looking to do on my channel, which is called Plays Plats. Basically, I go on. I think I've already talked about it on the stream, but I go on and I try and platinum a game. I'm very close to platinuming Assassin's Creed 2, so I don't know if I'll stream that, but I'm very close to doing that. But the game I want to start with on my new Plays Plats series is WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2010, which is a game I've never even played ever. And it's a pretty easy platinum. So I figured, hey, wrestling game, you guys know it all and like it, and it'll be easy to stream, fun to do, and make the grind a little bit easier if I'm streaming it and sharing it with you guys. So that's something I want to do. I just need to find a time when I want to do it. Obviously, I stream on the weekends, Total Extreme Wrestling. So I don't know if I'm going to stream this before Total Extreme Wrestling or throughout the week. I need to find an appropriate time to stream this. So if you've got any suggestions on when you would like me to stream, what days, let me know. I might even ask my Twitter, so I can find the best time for people and stream them, because I'd like to make this a regular thing, like a couple times a week I do this series, and that might be one of the main things on my Twitch to go along with the Total Extreme Wrestling stuff. Because that way I can play a variety of games every week as well. And I like to stream more Fortnite, but obviously so many people stream Fortnite, and I'm not the best player in the world at Fortnite. I've got 200 wins or so nearly, so I'm okay. But maybe probably not interested in watching me play that. But I'm going to find what I want to do on Twitch, and these are some of the things I've got in my mind. Some programming news, I suppose, and probably the big one is this podcast. I like doing this podcast. I've done it for about 4 years now. But it has to come to a time where we come to an end. I've decided that probably after WrestleMania, unless some things change, I'm going to end the podcast. Reason being is because hopefully soon I'm going to get full-time work. I've been applying to jobs. I just can't seem to land a job at the moment. So hopefully soon I will get a full-time job, or at least part-time job somewhere. So that's going to mean that my time becomes a little bit more limited. And some of these things that I'm doing, I'm going to have to cut back on. Like the streams, for example, I'll try and, I might not be able to stream every single day, but I'll be able to put in a few hours as much as I can. And I want to mainly focus my time when I'm doing it on my streaming and on my universe mode and my Total Extreme Wrestling series. So that means this podcast, will probably take a hit. It's my lowest viewed thing right now on my channel, and I've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it, but it has to come to an end at some point. And if I have to cut something, I mean, this is an hour of my week every single week. It's not that difficult, but not only that, I mean, I still enjoy chatting about wrestling, but there's some weeks where there just isn't a lot to really chat about, nothing interesting going on at times. So some weeks I just don't really want to get on here and talk about it. But, you got to do it anyways. So, if there's something major in wrestling, I could always jump on and make a separate video about it and just make it a 10-minute video instead of having it be an hour long like we do now. So I guess maybe it won't go away, but definitely in the future, I'm probably not going to be doing the hour-long podcast after WrestleMania. I think that's a good time to end it, and if I'm going to end it, that's when I'm going to do it. Like I said, I apologize to anyone who enjoys this podcast, listens to it regularly. I really appreciate it. I really thank you for that. It hasn't quite grown to the point where I was hoping for, but there's so many wrestling podcasts now, and that's the other thing. There is a million podcasts out there that you can listen to, so it's not the end of the world. And I guess I thank you for choosing mine if you are listening. But now that there's so much out there, I guess you kind of spoil the choice, and you might not have the time to listen to someone like me. When I first started doing podcasts about 2014 or so, I started the Let's Talk Thursdays, I think 2013. But the podcast itself about 2014, I think, so maybe 3 years. There wasn't as many podcasts around. Podcasting was starting to become a thing. I think Stone Cold had just started his, for example. So it was starting to become more of a regular thing in the wrestling community. So I kind of jumped in when it was becoming popular. Now it's probably oversaturated. It's like everyone's got a podcast now. And, I'm just a wrestling fan who likes to give his opinions. So if you like listening to my opinions, I really appreciate that. But I guess my presence isn't, needed or anything like that. So it's not the end of the world. But, so that's kind of the plan. I'm going to probably take away this podcast and shift the focus back on Universe Mode and doing that a little bit more regularly. Instead of doing a podcast on Thursdays, I could do an extra episode of Universe Mode, for example. Especially when I'm going to get full-time work or close to it. Some type of real-life job soon, hopefully. I need to start managing my time better and deciding what I want to do and when I want to do it. And I guess the podcast is probably not beneficial for my time, considering it's the lowest viewed thing right now on my channel. So it's probably my best interest to go in a different direction. So probably will be ending the podcast, but shifting into maybe more content in the other, things that you guys like. Or maybe I'll start something new. I don't know. But like I said, I like to focus a little bit on streaming a little bit more because I feel like that would be really fun. And focusing more on Universe Mode because, as you see in the last week of my channel, I've really just smashed out Universe Mode nearly every day. And it's been pretty good for my channel. It's been pretty good. The view counts have been nice. So to get that, it takes a lot more work. To make a Universe Mode every day, it takes a couple of hours. It's a little bit more strenuous, a little bit difficult to do. So if I'm going to do that, the extra time would be good to have. The extra day, I suppose, would be good to have. So that's that. So I apologize to anyone who enjoys this podcast, but that's probably the plan going forward. But that's probably it from me. Like I said, the Twitch stream was successful. This weekend, I'll be streaming again, probably Saturday and Sunday, Total Extreme Wrestling. I'll probably let you guys know a time, probably morning, Saturday, Sunday mornings, probably when I stream Total Extreme Wrestling. Maybe at night time as well. I don't know. I'll let you guys know, but I'll put a tweet out, so make sure you follow me on Twitter at Brendan Plays, so you know when I'm going to be streaming, know what I'm going to be up to. And of course, that's all going to be on Twitch now. Last week, if you missed it, I talked about why I'm moving to Twitch. I still want to make a separate video about that. I might do that tomorrow when I get a bit of chance. So I'll make a separate video about that and kind of chat about why I am moving to Twitch. But all my streams, will be over on Twitch now. And make sure you're followed on Twitch there as well. And if you want to, you can subscribe to the channel as well. We got 13 subscribers this week, which is awesome. We've unlocked new emotes when we get partnership, so that's exciting as well. So when we get that Twitch partnership, which, like I said, we're not that far away, we'll have a few new emotes. I need to start doing that. I'm not sure what emotes I'm going to put in. I'm looking to maybe come up with a few different catchphrases or just phrases in general to put in as a possible emote. So if you got any suggestions, let me know, and I'll put them in. All right, let's move along. Let's move along into Monday Night Raw's discussion. Like I said, we're going to preview Fast Lane after we get into the Raw chat. Smackdown, I tuned out of Smackdown. I just didn't really enjoy it at all this week. And then I suppose I'm not really looking forward to Fastlane either because I just haven't been enjoying the Smackdown product at all. It just is not interesting me right now. And it's a shame, like I said. I've been saying this for weeks now. It's a shame because I've liked Smackdown. I've wanted to like it. I just really struggled to get into it. But Raw this week was not that great either. It was okay at times. My favorite part of Raw was the opening segment with Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle, Stephanie, and Triple H, where they announced that the mixed tag match will happen. I like the fact that Kurt Angle and Triple H got physical and started throwing hands, and Kurt Angle got the ankle lock on in the end, which was good. Kurt Angle looked okay, a little bit slow, a little bit sloppy at times, which I suppose you can bring that down to the fact that he just hasn't done it for a while. And he's probably not as mobile as he used to be. So it's going to be interesting to see how well Kurt Angle can perform at WrestleMania. Because I'm starting to think that maybe Angle could be done. I'm not sure if he could do a big singles match at this point. I'm not sure. I like to think he can, but I think he will prove me wrong. But he didn't look great in the Shield match. He was limited in the Survivor Series match. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in this mixed tag, because you'd have to think he's going to have to do majority of the match with Ronda Rousey still learning the ropes. Stephanie's pretty limited as well, so you got two limited workers already in Stephanie and Ronda Rousey. And when Rousey's in the ring, you'd have to say Stephanie will just be getting beaten up badly. So there probably won't be too much to see there. So Angle and Triple H are basically going to have, I would say, at least a 10-15 minute singles match with Rousey and Stephanie maybe in there for 5 minutes. So that'll be interesting. It'll be good to see an old rivalry renewed, but it'll be interesting to see if Kurt Angle can do it. I've got no doubt Triple H can do it. He still looks great, still works pretty well. Not as good as he used to, obviously, but still good enough for his age. I've got no doubt Angle and Rousey will win, but it should be a fun match. I'm glad they've gone in this direction. I think it's the right direction to go in for both Ronda Rousey, and if Kurt Angle needs a match and Triple H needs a match, this is the right direction for both. And it's a good combination. Yeah, you could say The Rock should be there, and I would say, yeah, I'd like to see The Rock there, but Kurt Angle's a good replacement. And you got to remember, Kurt Angle hasn't had a WrestleMania match since, is it WrestleMania 22? Is that right? 2006? So this is a big deal for Kurt Angle. It's been over 10 years since he's had a WrestleMania match. So it's not like this is a nothing match for Kurt. This is a big deal for him. And it's a good opportunity for him to really show us that he can still go and still do it. And if he has a good performance, he might get a singles match down the line, maybe against Seth Rollins or maybe John Cena. What type of matches would we like to see? I'd like to see Kurt Angle wrestle against... I would have liked to see Kurt Angle and Daniel Bryan. That's not going to happen, though. Angle versus Styles would be cool. I definitely think Angle and Rollins would be good. Angle and Reigns might be okay. There's a few combinations there. We might even see Angle and Jason Jordan if Jordan gets cleared and gets healthy at an appropriate time before this. I think they're kind of already starting to forget about the father and son thing. They haven't even mentioned Jordan in a while, so yeah, it'd be interesting. I think Stephanie said, Kurt Angle, you got 5 kids? And Kurt Angle said, yeah, but if he's got 5, but you add in Jason Jordan, I think he's got 6, so they kind of made a storyline blunder there. But anyways, good start to Raw. They've announced the Triple Threat Championship match as well for WrestleMania, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and The Miz. I like this match. Potentially they could add in Strowman and Elias. But there's some rumors going around that Braun Strowman won't even be on WrestleMania. Apparently he might just be in an angle or might not be in a match at all, which would be absolutely ludicrous that you build a guy up this entire year. As good as Strowman is, he should be in the WrestleMania main event competing for the World Championship. That's where he should be. And if he doesn't get a match at WrestleMania, that's really poor. I mean, at worst, he's got to be in the Battle Royal and just throw 20 guys out of the Battle Royal and just dominate it. At worst, he's got to be doing that. For him to not be in a match would just be ridiculous. And there's potential, of course, they could add Strowman and Elias to that triple threat match to make it a fatal 5-way for the IC title. Maybe put a ladder in there and make it a bit more interesting. I think that's very possible. But maybe they don't want Strowman losing, or maybe they don't want him competing for that. Because the talk is they want Strowman available for the Reigns and Lesnar in case anything happens. But I don't think you can plan like something like that's going to happen. If something happens, if one of them gets injured or Reigns gets done for this steroid scandal, which I don't think is going to happen, if something happens, you can easily say, hey, all right, we need to find a new number one contender, and whoever wins out of the Fatal 5-Way, they have a Fatal 5-Way out of the guys, the IC title, whoever wins that match gets the spot, and it's an easy fix. I don't know why they're keeping Strowman out of a feud or out of contention for anything, because they can easily plug him in there no matter what happens. You can change plans pretty comfortably, especially if he's in a multi-man match. If he was working John Cena one-on-one, for example, no, you probably couldn't do it, because then, you lose this big singles match. But if he's just working a Fatal 5-Way, well, you can easily just take him out, make it a 4-way, and put him in the main event of WrestleMania. Easy. So I don't understand why they're booking this way. Or, of course, it is just a rumor, but if this is what they are doing, and they're keeping him aside just in case, I mean, that's ridiculous. Why would you ever book like that, in my opinion? I think you've always got to book like, all right, if we're going to make this Reigns and Lesnar, if we're going to make this the match, well, it's going to be the match. We're not going to plan to change it unless we absolutely have to for whatever reason, but there shouldn't be a reason, unless it's injury, of course. And if that's the case, just work safe. Brock Lesnar worked a 30-second match with Kane. I think he'll be okay. And Reigns, well, it seems like he'll just be cutting promos for the next few weeks. Might do a tag match here and there. Just, ease him up in the house show circuit. Make him do nothing. Ease him into it. And he should make it to WrestleMania pretty comfortably. So just don't take any risks, and there's no reason why that match shouldn't take place. So there's no reason why Braun Strowman should be left aside and not doing anything just because, we've got a backup plan just in case. We shouldn't be planning for that. More progression towards Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax this week makes me really believe that Asuka's going to challenge Charlotte, which I think is the best option. I think that's a better matchup, and if you put Asuka on Smackdown, then you give her a whole list of people that she can beat now and a whole lot of new opponents, whereas you keep her on Raw, well, she's kind of already beaten everyone there is to beat on Raw. Plus, I think Charlotte matches up a lot better to Asuka. I think Alexa Bliss is just too small against Asuka. She's been champion and everything like that, but I just think Charlotte would deliver a better matchup. But in saying that, if they are going to do Bliss and Nia Jax, the size thing is even more prominent. But I think there's a little bit more of a storyline there. They've been more associated with each other. They're good friends outside the ring. I think that's pretty well documented. So they are friends. They've got that established there. So it'd make a little bit more sense as well. And I think it'd be pretty good. I think it'd be good. So I'm happy for that. And it seems like they might even do Sasha Banks versus Bayley as well. So they're going to have a lot of women's matches on this card. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. The other thing they've announced this week is that they are going to have a Hardy compound match. Woken Matt, and Bray Wyatt. They're going to do something there. Now, what is it? We don't 100% know who's going to be involved. Is it just going to be Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt? If it's just them two, it's not going to work. I can tell you now. The thing that made the TNA version of the Final Deletion, the Hardy compound matches work, was the fact that there was a host of characters involved as well that added to the wackiness and craziness. I'd like to say the Bludgeon Brothers, Harper and Rowan, will be involved, but I highly doubt it. It's possible Bray might even try and recruit new people to help him out or be involved or be associated with him. If that's the case, that'd be cool, but I doubt it. I think that's a bit of a long shot. Matt Hardy, well, we saw Vanguard 1. We got a glimpse of that, so that might be coming into play. Good move from the WWE to use the TNA footage. Good move from them to utilize that. You may as well. It's there. You may as well use it. It's a good move. TNA get a little bit out of it too. So Jeff Hardy, I'm sure he'll be involved in some ways, but we don't know if it's going to be at WrestleMania or if it's going to be on Raw. We don't know yet. I think it should be at WrestleMania, but I'm worried about people watching a match on TV on the screen at WrestleMania. I think they're probably worried about that too. Is that going to work? I think it would. I think it'd be okay if you timed it well. If you timed it in between a big match, like let's say Undertaker Cena, and you had it after that match where the crowd have just, gone ballistic for this match. Now they can just sit back and watch it on a screen. They don't have to react. They don't have to watch in the ring. They just, watch what they're seeing on the screen and kind of kick back and relax a little bit. So if they use it like that, yeah, you could say that's a bit of a piss break, isn't it? But it doesn't have to be. And you can keep it like that. You can treat it like that, and it will work okay, I think. But I think there's a chance they might do it on Raw, which I think would be a bit of a downer, because I think a lot of us would like to see something big between Bray and Matt Hardy happen at WrestleMania, because they've built it up long enough. They might as well execute at WrestleMania. If not, what do they do? Are they trying to save the bar for the Hardy Boys to potentially have a match there, which I don't think will be as well received as last year? I mean, Jeff Hardy getting a reaction could happen, yeah. And apparently Jeff Hardy has been cleared from his doctor, and he's waiting WWE approval to get back in the ring. So he might be a good chance to be at WrestleMania. So that's a possibility. So I guess if we see this Hardy Boy compound match happen within the next 2 weeks, then I think for sure we might see the Hardy Boys in a tag match at WrestleMania. I still would like to see Bray and Matt team up, but I think that's not going to happen. I think they would rather have Matt and Jeff together. But I think Jeff can go to SmackDown on his own and do really well as a singles. I really do. I think he could be successful. But I don't know if they have the faith in Jeff to do that, or I don't know if they want to do that. I think they'd rather have that tag team there. But I guess we'll get a bit of an idea of the direction they're going in. But I feel like I'd like to see this Hardy Boy match, this compound match at the WrestleMania show rather than on Raw. Just treat it as a bit of a throwaway on Raw, because I feel like it should be a big deal. And if you time it right at WrestleMania, I feel like it can work and it won't be that badly received. Last but not least, we had a really weird Goldust John Cena angle on Raw. Goldust and Cena apparently having their first ever match against each other. I can't recall another time, so it was cool to kind of see that, but it was just a really awkward kind of promo and back and forth. So yeah, we're going to get into Fast Lane in a moment, talk more about Cena, but it was, I guess, in storyline wise, it was kind of a smart call to put Cena on Raw to talk about the match, because he was right, he would get interrupted because everyone else has got something to say on SmackDown. So that kind of made sense. So I know you're probably thinking, well, why are they talking about a SmackDown match on Raw? But the why they did it was kind of made sense. Fast Lane, let's move into it. SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, and we've talked obviously about SmackDown a moment ago, how it's been a little bit boring and not that exciting. So I can't say I'm looking forward to this pay-per-view that much. I think it's going to be okay. I think it's a bit of a, I was going to say one match pay-per-view, but in saying that, I think Bobby Roode, Randy Orton will be good. I think the Usos, the New Day, I think they're going to go all out for that match. Because if this is the final match between the two for quite some time, we already thought that was going to be the case for a while back, then I really believe that they might go all out and make this something big. So that could be good. Charlotte versus Ruby Riott, well, that's a bit of a smoky match. We don't know how that's going to go. I think Ruby Riott is a good worker. Her interaction with Charlotte on SmackDown this week was not great. The crowd was really silent for it. You could almost hear a pin drop. So this is her chance to shine and step up. So she needs a good performance, I think, to give management the belief that she could potentially be a women's champion at some point. Nakamura and Rusev thrown together. At least Rusev's going to be on the card, I guess. And then Becky Lynch, Naomi versus Natalya and Carmella. I have no idea why they're doing that. That's just to fill in extra time. And I hate how they do that. Like 1 week before the pay-per-view, they just throw a couple of matches on there just because. I mean, it's a pay-per-view. It shouldn't be that way. But, you could say, well, they didn't used to do it back in the day. Well, yeah, they did. They did. They've been doing it for years. When they just realized, oh, crap, we've got 15 minutes of a pay-per-view we need to fill in. Well, all right. Well, we've got these people, available. We might as well use them. I guess, if Carmella is going to be in this tag match, what's the deal with her? When's she going to cash this in? Is she going to cash in at WrestleMania? I feel like that would be a mistake. I would probably cash in after WrestleMania. The reason being is because we've seen it at WrestleMania. I think it would devalue her cash in because the Seth Rollins cash in at WrestleMania was so epic, was so awesome. I don't think you could ever top it. Maybe one day, but not for a long time. If Carmella did it, let's say she cashes in on Alexa, she has to cash in on Charlotte or Asuka. So it wouldn't be wise to do it anyways. I honestly believe Carmella's going to lose when she cashes in. Because if Asuka goes to Smackdown and cashes in, there's no way that she's going to lose to Carmella. So Carmella's kind of stuck there. And as far as I know, you can't use that to cash in on the Raw Women's Champion. So, I don't know, man. She's going to have to cash in soon. Money in the Bank's not that far away. But if Asuka gets the belt on SmackDown, I don't see her ever cashing in and being successful. I think she's going to lose that contract. So it's quite possible the SmackDown after WrestleMania, they might do that cash in. Like I said, I just wouldn't like to see it at WrestleMania because I just feel like it wouldn't be as good, or it'd just be a cheap knockoff of Seth Rollins. So we'll see. But we'll get into some predictions now. So the Natalya, Carmella versus Lynch and Naomi match. I think Becky and Naomi will win. Nakamura versus Rusev, pretty easy. Nakamura will win. Charlotte and Ruby, well, I still think Charlotte's going to make it to WrestleMania's champion. I think it's not Ruby's time yet. I think she needs some more time to develop and get over. So I wouldn't change hands with the belt just yet. Usos versus New Day. It's an interesting one. I think the Usos will retain, but you never know with these two teams. You never know the direction they're going in. It's quite possible they might give it to the New Day. It seems like they're setting up for a Bludgeon Brothers match at WrestleMania. Will it be a triple threat? Maybe they'll add in another team, maybe Rusev and Aiden English to make it a four-way. So I could see that happening. If that's the case, then I would keep it on the Usos, because then the New Day will get a rematch anyway, so it's not a big deal. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Usos, but it could go either way. That's the one match on this card that I think could go either way. Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton. Well, Bobby Roode hasn't been champion that long, and they're still going with him. I don't think there's any reason to drop the belt off him yet. Randy Orton has never won this title before, so it's quite possible they might give it to him just so he's had it. But Randy's at that point where he's kind of in a position where he's just going to be putting over the next guys coming through. And even though Bobby's older than Randy, he's still pretty new. So I think they'd keep it on him. I feel like they're going to do a triple threat at WrestleMania, and if they're going to have Orton win the belt, do it at WrestleMania. But I could see Jinder winning it at WrestleMania if they do a triple threat with Jinder in it, which would really suck. But I'd like to see Bobby Roode stay champion, but I think Roode as a face just isn't working. I hate him coming out and smiling and just being happy-go-lucky. It's not who he is. He's got to come out and just be that cocky, arrogant guy like he was in NXT. It was good. It was working. It was great. But ever since he's been on the main roster, they've tried to force him to be a babyface, and it just hasn't worked. I think he's got to turn heel. I mean, probably not yet. I wouldn't give up on it yet, but sometime this year he's got to go heel. And Bobby Roode's 41, I think. It's not like he's got all the time in the world. If you want to get the most out of him, he's probably got 2 more years left in him here at the top before they start to go in a different way. So he needs to probably turn heel soon before they might give up on him and go in a different direction. But I'll say Roode will keep the belt. And the 6-pack challenge for the WWE Championship. There's only 2 guys who got a chance of winning this match. It's AJ Styles and John Cena. I hope Styles wins because I want to see Styles and Nakamura. But I'm just starting to get a feeling that Cena might win. I know, but I'm starting to get this horrible feeling that Cena might win to give him number 17 and to get him a WrestleMania match. We don't know if Undertaker's going to wrestle yet. We don't know. They're teasing as though he's not. If he's not going to wrestle at WrestleMania, what does Cena do? I don't know. I think a triple threat match is possible, but does anyone want to see a triple threat between Styles, Cena, and Nakamura? Yeah, it'll be a great match, but I'd just rather see Styles and Nakamura. I think most people would as well. I think WWE know that. I think they know that that's the match people want to see. So I'm sure that they won't mess with that unless they have to, because what else will Cena do? But I think they must be pretty confident that Taker is going to be wrestling at WrestleMania, or they have some kind of a plan for Cena. Otherwise, I'm sure they would be going in a different direction right now. I'm sure they would have had a backup plan, and he'd be doing something else. So I think Styles will win, but I'd say there's a 25% chance Cena might win. 75% Styles will win, 25% that Cena might win. And it looks as though they might tease Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn splitting up and doing a match at WrestleMania, which I don't want to see. I don't want to see the two against each other. I feel like it's only been recent where they've actually aligned. I know it's been a while now, but it hasn't been long enough. I feel like if you want to do that, maybe stretch it out to a SummerSlam. I don't even think there's time on WrestleMania to have these two on the card, because there's going to be so many matches. I know it's 6 hours long nowadays, but God, I don't even think you could find time for the two on the card. But yeah, six-pack challenge. I mean, WWE've got this fascination with doing multi-man matches as of late. I'm a little bit sick of them, to be honest. So I hope this is one of the last ones we see. I know WrestleMania will have a few because you just have to. But Styles to retain, hopefully, is the decision. But they might need to start. I hope they have a draft after WrestleMania. They need to really spice these brands up, because Styles has kind of beaten everyone, and Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler in the main event is not good. Dolph Ziggler, his absence, vacating the US title and then coming back, was just asinine. It achieved absolutely nothing. It was ridiculous. It has to be one of the worst decisions I've seen in some time. Like, just to cough up the belt, vacate and come back and say, hey, I'm back because I want to be WWE Champion. Well, you were just US Champion. You could have been US Champion right now and kept that belt and then looked to elevate yourself. It made no sense. It was stupid. I was hoping for something with Ziggler. It turned into absolutely nothing. He's changed nothing. He's done nothing. And Baron Corbin, well, I hope they were jobbing him out. And they kind of were. They kind of are. But they've just sticking him into this match to give him something. So we'll see. But overall, I'm probably looking forward to Bobby Roode and Randy Orton the most on this card, to be honest. I think that'd be a good one. The rest should be okay, but not expecting all that much. Another team that might not be on WrestleMania is The Bar. And I kind of rumored and thought about this last week on the show. We kind of alluded to it. Because I just don't see them doing anything at WrestleMania. They beat the Revival, which was really their only other team they could have faced at WrestleMania. They've beaten them. So unless they bring in a left field team or just throw a team together, I don't see The Bar having a tag title at WrestleMania. I don't know, man. I'm not against having people left out of WrestleMania. I'm not against it, because we're at this point where we have so many title belts. We've got so many people. We've got two brands. I'm not against people missing out. If you want to have them all on the card, put them in the Battle Royal. Make the Battle Royal feel a bit better, because you've got bigger names in it, because these guys didn't get a match elsewhere. You can use it for that reason, and you don't have to specify how many people's going to be in the Battle Royal. You might have 20, you might have 30, you can have 40 in it. Just stick them all in the Battle Royal if they're available. So I'm not against having champions left out on WrestleMania, but especially when The Bar, there just isn't anyone for them to face right now. Unfortunately, that's just the way the Raw Tag Division is right now. I've got no doubt that either the Usos or the New Day will get drafted over to Raw. Whoever is not champion will probably move over. So I'm sure they're going to spice it up a little bit soon and kind of switch that up. I think it should probably be the Usos. So, yeah, I've got no doubt they might go in that direction. But, so The Bar should be okay after WrestleMania. But for right now, there just isn't anything for them to do. So, probably would just change plans, put them in the Battle Royal, make that a little bit more meaningful, because that's just the jobber match at this point. Make that a little bit more meaningful, instead of trying to force a match on WrestleMania that just isn't there. Some other pieces of news outside of the WWE, but still related. Rich Swann is apparently retiring. So Rich Swann, who just recently left the WWE, apparently was mutual terms. They both wanted to part ways. He's now going to be doing some bookings, and then he's going to retire, which I didn't expect to see. I think he kind of put out a tweet saying, well, the dream's over, time to go in a different direction type of thing, which is fair enough. You know, you lose your dream job, you got to go in a different direction. What else is there for him to really do? He kind of made it to the big dance, was there for a little bit, had some success, could have been a lot better, could have been, I wouldn't say a lot much bigger. I don't think he'd be much more of a star than he was, but he might have got, another run for the Cruiserweight belt or something, but, it wasn't to be. But, I guess he just doesn't want to go on the indies. I feel like he's just, made some money and he wants to go in a different way. I mean, I don't know what's out there for Rich Swann, how much success he would have on the independent scene, but it might be a good call to go in a different direction. I don't know. Someone of his size probably would get booked, but I don't think he'd be getting huge money. He wasn't that big of a star, didn't have that much success where he'd be getting thousands of dollars per appearance. So, yeah. Del Rio. Oh, God. Trust me, when I read this news, I was not thrilled. Del Rio apparently... I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. This is one of the rumors I'm taking with a grain of salt today. There's been some talk that Del Rio could be coming back to WWE. Vince McMahon apparently really likes Del Rio, a big fan of his. Del Rio, I think, is 41 now. Bringing him back, I don't see why. I don't see why we need him. They got Andrade Cien Almas, who's a great Mexican wrestler in developmental already, who I feel like could be a big star at one point if they really wanted him to be. Del Rio's last run was a colossal failure, absolutely abysmal. He came back, he was jacked, he was in great shape, but just look at the last year Del Rio's had. He's had the drug issues, the bad relationship with Paige, calling out Triple H when he was drunk and wanting to fight, and all this crap that he's been doing. It'd be terrible PR. I mean, I don't think you could really trust this guy. He needs to be cleaned up for me to even go anywhere near him. Because right now, from what I've seen the last year, he's been a mess. And I think it's been because he got released from WWE and they didn't want him. He left WWE. I think it's been because of that he's gone on a bit of a downward spiral. So if I'm WWE, I wouldn't touch him. I think he's too old now to look at and try and rehabilitate it and salvage his career. I get it. He's won the world title many times. He's been one of their most pushed guys, but he's probably been the least deserving of that push. His promos are pretty bad. His in-ring work is okay. Nothing special. His best work has come out of WWE. When he comes back into WWE, he seems to just perform shitty again. So I'm not a fan. I just wouldn't want to see him back. I think he's one of those guys that I like to tune out of. I just change the channel because I just don't find him interesting at all. But for some reason, WWE push him whenever they get him. Whenever he's there, he still gets pushed. I'd much rather see Roman Reigns instead of Del Rio on top. I tell you that right now. So there's a rumor that he could be coming back. I'm hoping not. One rumor that is now being confirmed, and this is what I'm so excited for, a WWE Super Show. They're doing one, I think, in Saudi Arabia. Could be wrong in the country, but one of those Middle Eastern countries. They're also doing one in Australia, in Melbourne. And they're doing it in the MCG, which is the Melbourne Cricket Ground. It holds about 100,000 people. If for a wrestling show, they might lose 5,000 seats or something for the staging. So there's a realistic chance that they might be able to get 90,000 people in there. Now, I will be going. 100% I'm going to it. I don't care. I will take... Melbourne's about a 3-hour flight for me, so I'm definitely going. So I am 100% going to be there. I've always wanted to see a WWE pay-per-view in person. I've always wanted to see a big show in person, like a big event where all the stars are there. That's been one of my dreams. And this could happen. This is happening. This is going to happen. All the big stars are going to be here. I don't know what they're going to be doing. I don't know if it's going to be on the network. I would assume, yeah, it will be. But this is going to be a big deal. They're trying to sell out the MCG, which is 100k seats. Probably, 90k realistically. Which is going to be very tough to do. they've picked the right city. Melbourne is the best city, the best chance for them to do this. And Melbourne, the stadium itself is a big oval. Not like your typical football field. It's an oval, so it's going to be really big. The noise does really stay in there. Like, the atmosphere really does resonate on television in that ground. Just look up, like, for example, go look up Cricket World Cup 2015, and you could just hear the crowd when Australia was dominating New Zealand, which I just like to look it up because Australia's dominating New Zealand. But when Stark got the wicket on McCullum, the crowd erupted. It was just one of the biggest roars you'll ever hear. And it happened at the MCG and was a packed out 100,000 there for that match. So that's one of the examples of how the noise does resonate. So if they get 100k or 90k, which I think is probably the realistic figure, because they're going to have to cut out a big section of it for the staging area, so they probably will lose 5 to 10k seats. So they get 90k in there. It's going to sound really good on TV. It's going to come off well. The only problem is that if you're in a seating area, you're going to be really far back from the action because it is an oval and a wrestling ring in the middle, and you're in the cheap seats. You're going to be far back. I've never been there. I've never seen an event there. They play cricket and they play Australian football there. So cricket there, I would say watching a wrestling match would be no different, I guess, to watching the cricket there, because cricket is a rectangle smaller than a wrestling ring. It's if you can watch the action there, you'd have probably no issues watching the wrestling. So I think it'd be okay. I think getting a floor seat there would be pretty expensive, but pretty damn good as well. And there should be a lot of room for floor seats. So I actually didn't consider that. So they might actually be able to get 100k in there, because there should be room for probably 10,000 on the floor seats because it's a big oval. So I actually didn't consider that. So yeah, probably 90k in the stands, and at least, I don't know, I couldn't tell you, number 5, 10k on the floor. So if they sell out, they will have 100k. Yeah, they will. So that's big. That's pretty damn big. And I'm going to try my best to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm going to go, no matter what. This is what I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to go to WrestleMania. I never thought that I'd probably get there, and this might be the closest as I'll get. I hope they go all out and have a big card and make it a big deal and make it on pay-per-view. I'd love for people to watch it at home as well. And I'd love to see how the Australians react. I don't think they're going to sell, though. I really don't think the WWE will be able to sell out the MCG. They're going to have to really kill it to sell that out. There is wrestling fans in Australia, no doubt. When they do their house shows here in Melbourne, they probably get about 10,000 people. I think the New Japan shows, they got thousands of people there. We don't even get New Japan on TV or anything here. So there's wrestling fans here, absolutely. But can they get the casuals in to fill it up to make it 100k? That's going to be really, really tough. I think they could do 70. I really do. But to get 100k is going to be very tough. The positive news for them is that they do regularly get 100,000 or 80 to 100,000 for their Australian football matches. So when there's a big match played there, they often do get that type of crowd. So Melbourne does give good crowds. Melbourne's probably the best city in Australia in terms of crowd, outside of probably Adelaide. But Adelaide's not a great wrestling town. So Sydney's pretty poor for crowds. You're probably thinking Sydney, but Sydney for wrestling is probably good, but for sport in general isn't great. Melbourne, though, is definitely the best. So I think Sydney's got about a 70,000 seat arena, 70,000 seat stadium there. They could have gone with that, but I think the MCG is a better call. But honestly, I think it'd be great for the WWE to do this. I think it'd be great for wrestling in Australia to finally have a big show like this. I think the last time we had it was that global warming tour, which I was too young to know about and see. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely be there. I'll probably vlog it and show my whole experience there for you guys, because I think that'd be really cool to see and get a bit of an insight of how it was. So Yeah, I was pretty damn excited for that, to be honest. That's kind of what I wanted to chat about there. But they're doing a 50-man battle, 50-man Royal Rumble for the other one. And I don't know if that's going to be the entire show. 50-man, if it's timed entrances, which they say it's a Royal Rumble, that should be a 2-hour-long match. Plus. So they might do that, plus some women's matches. Although women's wrestling, not really that, I don't know if they're going to do that anymore. If that's fully allowed there. I think they've started to do it, but probably won't do an hour's worth of it. So, yeah, that's going to be crazy. I wouldn't mind seeing that 50-man Royal Rumble match. I'd like to see that on the network. But it's like, well, you win this Royal Rumble match, what do you get out of it? So I'm hoping if they're going to do this and put it on the network, that someone gets something out of it, because I'm not a big fan of doing a Royal Rumble outside of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view either. I think that's a little bit silly as well, and doing 50 is kind of crazy, but I guess this is the type of thing they need to make this a sellout event. So I think that will sell out. I think that event there will sell out. I've got no doubts that will. The Australian one, I'm not 100% sure, but I hope it does. I hope it does, so they come back and do more, because that would be awesome. But yeah, so that's kind of that. Anything else in the wrestling news? That's pretty much it. Game news. Still playing Fortnite, man. Playing Season 3 Fortnite. Grinding that. They brought out the new 20v20. V20. What do we call that? 20 times 5? I don't know. They brought that out today. Played a little bit of earlier. Won my first match on it, actually. It came down to a 2v2 at the end. Me and another guy versus another team of 2, which was pretty cool. We did get the win. I didn't actually get the kills, but I was kind of playing support and kept hitting them, and they kept building away from me, and I couldn't quite see them, whereas the other guy was in a better position. He got them. But yeah, so that was pretty cool to get a win there, but it's not the best because everyone seems to land at Tilted Towers, and it's fun, but when you got 50 people at Tilted Towers and not enough guns to go around, it's not that great. So yeah, you can kind of get a bit annoyed of it pretty quickly. But yeah, it's good for a little gimmick, good for a little bit of fun. You wouldn't play it all the time, but you definitely would check it out every now and then, and that's something that they should continue to do more of. And it's a little bit quicker than the other modes, a little bit faster, so that in itself is pretty fun. So if you haven't already checked it out, it's available now on Fortnite. I think I'm about tier 41 now, so I've got a little bit more grinding to do. I still got a long way to get to go to get the Reaper, but with the new challenges coming out this week, I might be able to hit up to tier 50, which should be really handy, and trying to keep progressing from there. And like I've said, I've also been playing Assassin's Creed 2, trying to get the platinum there. I haven't really been focusing on the story or anything other than just grinding out the missions, because I've already done the game. I did the game back in 2009 when it came out. One of my favorite games ever, to be honest. But looking back and playing it now, it kind of reminds me, it's just a situation where you go back and you play one of your favorite games, but it just doesn't look the same, doesn't feel the same as you thought. It's one of those situations where you don't go back and relive that, because it just ruins the memory. It doesn't ruin the memory for me, but it does certainly dampen it. It just kind of goes, oh, maybe this game didn't look as good as I used to think. But certainly Assassin's Creed now is, beautiful graphics, and I'm sure they upgraded a little bit on the PS4 version. I'm playing the PS3 version. But yeah, it's still enjoying it. So I've got 90% of the trophies already. I just need to go and get all the collectibles and do a couple of little side trophies, and I've got the platinum, which would be great. It'd be my 105th platinum, I believe. And then I'll probably do the Smackdown vs. Raw after that as well. And I need to look at some more PS4 games, but I've tried to bang out a few oldies on the PS3, trying to get them done before. I don't think I'll ever get rid of my PS3, but just try and get rid of a few of the games that that I could easily platinum, try and get them done and kind of move on from them, and maybe work on a few others, because I've got some games that I hadn't even started, so it'd be cool to get up on there and start them and finish them. I'm not a big graphics guy, so when it comes back to playing the older games, it doesn't really bother me as much. Sometimes, if it's really bad, sure, but I've jumped on the PS2 and played, it doesn't really bother me, or jumped on the PS1, or recently played the Super Nintendo with the Super Nintendo Mini, and that doesn't really bother me at all. I don't mind it. So the graphics isn't the world to me. Yeah, I would love the game to look great, but if it doesn't really bother me as long as the gameplay is fun. And Assassin's Creed is always a fun time no matter what. So, yeah, I've definitely been grinding that, looking to get the platinum on that one. Hopefully I'll have that probably tomorrow, I think. I'm looking to grind that out tomorrow and finish that one off. Probably play some more Fortnite over the weekend. Obviously a bit more Total Extreme Wrestling. For those who are interested, I've started another series, well, not a series, but I've started playing some Total Extreme Wrestling 1996, January 1996 of the WWE. Which is an interesting time because WCW is about to start taking over and become number one, whereas WWE are a little bit on the decline. But it's also an interesting time because you got Steve Austin as the ringmaster, isn't that popular. You got Kane as Isaac Yankem, who, in the evil dentist or whatever. We don't even have Cactus Jack yet. We still got Kevin Nash and Scott Hall before they're about to leave. I'd signed Brian Pillman as well, so that's cool. I'm trying to get Vader. New Japan are trying to take Vader from me, but I'm trying to sign Vader. And I had Shawn Michaels win the Royal Rumble, so we just did the Royal Rumble. We had Shawn Michaels win it, which I think he did in real life anyways. But I had Shawn win it, and I'm going to do Shawn versus Bret at WrestleMania. I think I'll have Bret Hart turn heel because Shawn Michaels was complaining that he had to turn. He didn't want to turn because he didn't want to lose his merchandise money. So, yeah, kind of realistic there. And then the big WrestleMania match, I want to do Undertaker versus Vader. I really believe that would be a great WrestleMania match for the Undertaker. Vader as a genuine threat to beat the dead man would be pretty cool indeed. So that's one of the other big matches I got planned for that. And I've just put Kane in development. I'm also putting Triple H in developmental as well to repackage them into their other characters. Triple H, more of that degenerate character that you probably see from DX. I don't know if I'll be able to keep Razor Ramon and Diesel. I hope I can. Probably not the end of the world if I can't, but if I can, I'll definitely hang on to him. Still got Psycho Sid as well, the British Bulldog, Owen Hart. So I've got a few good names there to kind of utilise, but some guys in the mid-card I'm looking to try and elevate, like Goldust, for example. Ahmed Johnson, I think he's got some potential. So yeah, it's certainly an interesting time. It's kind of like, well, let's try and stop the WWE decline. And 1995 was a pretty rough year, so it's also, let's try and get a better year under the belts for the WWE and just try and make that better. Whereas WCW got a pretty stacked roster as well, so it'll certainly be interesting. But yeah, I think we got enough talent there to certainly compete and stay strong. It's going to be exciting anyways, so yeah. So I started that one. I'm not streaming it or anything like that. I'm just playing it for fun every now and then because I like to play Total Extreme Wrestling, but also, as you said, I can't play it all the time because it's a video series, so you can't exactly go on and stream it when no one else is around to watch it. So yeah. That being said, we're pretty much going to end it there for this week's edition of the show. I forgot to put up the question thread this week on Facebook, so I apologise for that, for anyone who wanted to answer them. And all the other questions on the YouTube channel, kind of already covered anyways. So I'm going to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening in for this week's edition of the podcast. If you did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like on it for me. And again, I apologise for anyone who's disappointed about the podcast, probably ending after WrestleMania, but we'll try and have the best possible shows as we can before the podcast does end. And like I said, we're going to do some more Universe Mode, another one coming up very soon. Raw will probably be out tomorrow, and a lot of people have been wondering what's going on with The Miz. He wasn't in the Royal Rumble. Well, that will be all addressed on the next episode and much, much more. So make sure you check that one out. Thank you for listening in, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this week's edition of the podcast, and I'll see you all next Thursday.